What's up, everybody? This is Brad, and I'm doing something that I usually wouldn't do, and that is I'm going to film a video today to talk about Area Zero, the Paradox Pokemon, and potential DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And now, why this is a little bit different is because I haven't gotten through my playthrough yet on YouTube, and it's going to be out of order. So I've already finished the game. My playthrough, as far as my video drops, is still pretty early in the playthrough, so you're just gonna kind of have to deal with the fact that this is gonna be kind of out of order. But this, I feel like, is going to be different because I'm not actually playing the game so much as I'm using the game to talk about stuff that's happening. Anyway, first off, I want to show you guys this. Let's talk about Area Zero, and I've muted the game and I'm playing the Area Zero theme over it, and there's a Sandy Shocks, which I'm going to talk about. I have a particular issue when we talk about the Paradox Pokemon, and Sandy Shocks is a good example of something, one of my theories. Anyway, so the thing about Area Zero that I felt was that this place is humongous. It's really cool. The music is amazing here, which is why I've got the track playing over this video, even though I've muted the gameplay audio. But it's also very empty. The area itself is cool, and it's fun to explore and look around to try to find different things and find secrets and stuff. But there's just not a lot here. So as we look out over this place and how cool it is, there are lots of little nooks and crannies here of empty space where it looks like there should be something there to find, but there's nothing there. Which is where I figure the DLC is going to come in. I figure that some of these empty spaces are going to be where we find particular Pokemon, maybe new Paradox Pokemon introduced after the DLC. I feel like that almost has to happen because Pokemon Sun and Moon gave us brand new Pokemon once their DLC dropped. Sword and Shield gave us new Pokemon. So why would this game not give us something that wasn't originally in the game? Probably adding some older Pokemon that weren't in the game too. But I want to take you guys to a few areas that just stick out to me. So this area here, this big area of water from this waterfall, it's very wide. And it just seems like this would be some place where you would find a rare Pokemon. And I don't know if this boulder is supposed to be here or not. It seems like it's probably meant to be, not like it's hiding DLC or something. For some reason, I just feel like this big, open, shallow pond seems like a good place to find a rare Pokemon. Of course, there's nothing here but Golduck and some Floatzel, Buizel, Masquerain. Like, your pretty typical common water Pokemon. Of course, they're very high level, but again, nothing really out of the ordinary. That's the first time I've seen a Bellibolt here. But yeah, I think that's a very interesting area. This particular little pool here seems like a good place to put a Pokemon that could be powerful and legendary for you to seek out. Again, there's not really much here. There were two Vaporeon over here, I mean, again, but, like, the evolution spawning is actually not that uncommon in the game, and you can actually find a few terrestrialized, versions of them. But yeah, like, some of these areas, they just stick out more, in my opinion, and just, like, this is a dead end, so it seems like that would be a good place to find a rare Pokemon. Funny enough, I'm actually kind of having trouble navigating this place because it is kind of big. Which makes, the exploration is really fun. But again, like, the problem with this is that once you've come here and caught all the Paradox Pokemon, there's really no reason to come back. At least right now. And right outside the third research station is this small cave. There's not really anything here, but there's just enough room to suggest maybe something could be hiding in here. But there's nothing. I think there might be like there was a TM or something in here you could get, but that was it. And then of course you have this infamous cave, that you go in, where you can find the two of the rarest Paradox Pokemon, depending on your version. If you have Scarlet, you can encounter Roaring Moon in this cave. And if you have Violet, you can encounter Iron Galliant. But the thing is that that's all there really is to come in here for, other than maybe some TMs. But this is really rare Paradox Pokemon, and wow, it's fast. But the thing about this cave, though, is it has another secret. And there's clearly got to be something special about this cave. And it's that symbol on the ground. It has to mean something. There's got to be a reason why this gigantic symbol in this cave exists. And there's nothing in the game to tell us anything about what it might mean. I've seen other people on YouTube theorize what this could represent, but that's all kind of just speculation. There's nothing specific in the game to reference what this symbol could mean. So they've clearly got to add something to the game to give it a purpose. And now we enter the most mysterious part of this area, the cave. There's crystals all over Area 0, but clearly the biggest ones are down here, underground. And then we have this plaque here that just says there's some sort of plate inscribed with a mysterious symbol. The symbol actually appears on the cover of the games, but again, it's just here. And it appears in the Scarlet book and Violet books too. There's no explanation for what it is. Now that is down there beside it a map of Paldea, and it does appear to have some kind of markings on it, but as far as I'm aware, nobody who's actually looked into what these areas are were able to find anything specific as to the reason as to why these would be marked on this map. And besides the labs down here, these gigantic buildings, most of which we are not allowed to go into, there's a massive amount of open space here that's just got a little bit of water on the ground. But again, there's not really all that much variety of Pokemon down here. There are too many places down here and this place is too big for it to feel as empty as it does. There's got to be more coming to this area in the DLC to justify and give us a reason to come back down here and explore it all again. Now we're going to go right to the source of so many of these mysteries, the Scarlet book. There's a lot of different sections of the book that describe the many things down there and all of the mysteries as to what could possibly be going on in that area. As we found out, like, there's been a crew down there to explore it, but they insist that there's treasure down there. The explorers themselves found that the environment was just completely just wild to imagine, claiming they had seen Pokemon down there that they had never seen before. And as it describes here, it was inhospitable to human life. And so that convinced them even further that there had to be something unique and special down there at the bottom. Here we have that spot in the cave as they described it. As I said earlier, the symbol clearly represents something. It's got to mean something, or be some sort of warning or prediction or whatever. But we don't know exactly when this symbol appeared down there. Here in the cartograph, they explain how there are legends of precious stones and wondrous fruits in the area, but that they also have a guardian. Some kind of guardian. They don't really get specific, but something's down there protecting all of this precious treasure. On this particular page where they're describing the Pokemon they find in Area 0, they said that there appear to be some kind of differences between them, like even just the regular Pokemon that are on the inside and those on the outside. But then they would also hear cries from down lower into the crater that they couldn't recognize. Now we get into the more interesting stuff. The monsters of Area 0. As they describe here, they would catch glimpses of Pokemon every now and then. They were very ferocious. These creatures were so strange, even amongst the Pokemon they were seeing, the explorers doubted that they even were Pokemon. And here we actually have an actual photograph from one of their expeditions of the Pokemon that has been dubbed Great Tusk. I think the fact that these Pokemon appear to be very similar to what we like this great tusk creature is so similar to Donphan, I think there's a reason for that. And I don't think it's the reason that the game insinuates it is. Of course, now we have the Herba Mystica. Area Zero was home to wondrous herbs that would instantly impart vigor when eaten. So eating these herbs would instantly just make you feel better. But as they warn, the Pokemon would eat them, and they would become giants, of which they decided to refer to them as Titan Pokemon. The interesting thing here, though, is if you'll notice, in the last few generations of Pokemon games, giant Pokemon has become a recurring gimmick. In Sun and Moon, we had the Totem Pokemon, which grew from the energy caused by the Ultra Wormholes. In Sword and Shield, we had Gigantamaxing and Dynamaxing and Eternamaxing, which were Pokemon absorbing energy that was coming off of the body of the Pokemon Eternatus. Now we have these Herba Mysticas, which when eaten by Pokemon turns them giant, and they are then referred to as Titan Pokemon. So there's a lot of situations in the Pokemon world where Pokemon are growing to astronomical sizes. Back again, we've got the mysterious plates, as they said they came across it as it was buried. Apparently they attempted to examine the metal that the plate is made of, but they weren't even able to cut it at all. So it seems like a type of metal that is harder than any previously known metal in this world. So in a way, you could argue that this type of metal shouldn't exist. The legendary treasure. Of course, as they keep going down into the Great Crater, they see the gemstones, the crystals growing up everywhere. Apparently the light of the crystals is so bright that they began to wonder if maybe the crystals themselves are this mysterious guardian that's supposedly guarding some kind of treasure at the bottom of the crater. But the question is, are they wondering if the crystal itself is alive? Or if maybe this strange guardian, the light that's coming off of the crystals, then therefore gave way to this theory of a magical guardian down there that will protect whatever treasure that might be there. Is it all just made up? Or possibly a legendary Pokemon of some sort? Some sort of powerful deity down there to protect the treasure? Now this one's really interesting, an imagined Pokemon. Somebody on this expedition decided to sketch this fantastical Pokemon. Apparently the team's sketch artist was inspired by these really primal looking Pokemon and how vicious they looked, that he wanted to he basically wanted to create his own Pokemon. A Fakeamon, if you will, because you know that the Pokemon fandom likes to create their own little monsters from time to time. So here we have a sketch artist just winging it. The artist was probably a big fan of the legendary Pokemon from the Johto region, and thought, what if I combine them all? That would look like a pretty ferocious beast. But the thing is, why is this in this game? Let's talk about the game right now for a moment, and not the actual canon universe. Why are we being shown a fusion of the Johto trio? Now in Violet, it's the Unova trio of the legendary swordsmen that are fused together. Clearly, this is going to be a Pokemon that we encounter down in Area Zero at some point, because there's no reason for them to show us this sketch of clearly somebody's idea for a Pokemon to be put into this incredibly important book for the Pokemon world, or at the very least Paldea as a region. But the thing is, this creature does not exist. And if it does, how did this artist get this Pokemon, this imagined Pokemon, in their head when, at least as far as we're aware, it shouldn't exist? This Pokemon is basically someone's fan fiction. Why is it we're being shown somebody's make-believe Pokemon in this legendary book if we're not probably going to encounter it at some point? Related to that mysterious imaginary Pokemon, we have this. A phantom memory. The man Heath here said that he strayed away from his team for some reason, and then they found him unconscious later. And he says that the only thing he recalls is that he had some kind of conversation with somebody in an unfamiliar place and said it was dreamlike. And when they found him, he had a page with his own handwriting on it, but he doesn't remember writing any of this. So somehow this guy wrote all of these notes, and potentially, I guess these could be formulas and design ideas for something, and he doesn't remember doing it. And that he also had a conversation with somebody in a place that he can't remember. So there's a very good chance that Area Zero is a place where your subconscious can become reality, or something in your imagination or your dreams can actually come true down there, including, potentially, ideas and concepts for Pokemon that shouldn't exist, but appear out of nowhere with no explanation. Here they talk about the sponsor of Naranja Academy. They're the ones who are funding their exploration down into the crater to see all this. Now, I'm not entirely sure where this could lead, but I feel like the fact that they pointed this out means that Naranja Academy has to have some sort of connection to this expedition and the findings of the team down in Area Zero. This academy is more than just a school, and we haven't learned all there is to know about some of the people who work here, I think. And here we have a short about the author regarding Heath and his partner, Cyclizar. I think it's interesting that this guy's big expedition is tied to Cyclizar, and the fact that the two most important, or the two box art legendary Pokemon of these games, are supposed to be Paradox versions of Cyclizar. So does the fact that Heath's primary partner was this Pokemon have anything to do at all with the fact that the Pokemon we meet, this Paradox Pokemon that we're introduced to at the beginning of our Pokemon journey, Miraidon and Koraidon, there's got to be some kind of connection there between Miraidon and Koraidon, and then this guy Heath and his Cyclizar friend. And finally, the very last part of the Scarlet book that we have for the moment is this broken up text regarding a creature that apparently was spotted in the depths of the crater, that they're not even sure whether to call it a Pokemon or not. But it's covered in hexagons on its shell, and they said it looks like a giant disc, but they also don't even know if it's alive. So that thing is very interesting, and the question is, what exactly is it? There's another Pokemon that's covered in hexagons, Zygarde, but this does not appear to be that. And although there are rumors that the Kalos region could be part of the DLC, I don't know that that's necessarily what they're going to go with. Look at the sketch of this thing. There's planets around the outside. It looks like it exists in like the vacuum of space. Could this be the Guardian that they were convinced lives down there? One of the things about legendary Pokemon is that a lot of their backstory is sometimes left ambiguous, so that some of it appears to be exaggerated truth, maybe just complete speculation. So who knows what this thing is, because because the explorers couldn't even decide whether or not it's a Pokemon or if it's even a living creature. And the professors reference this creature as being the source of terrestrialization, sort of similar to how Eternatus was the source of Dynamaxing in the Galar region. So you have to wonder, could this strange disc Pokemon potentially be related to Eternatus? Could it be related to Zygarde with these hexagons? I guess we'll have to find out in the DLC. Now there's one more thing I want to show you guys, and that has to do with the Paradox Pokemon themselves. One of the theories I've seen being thrown around out there is that these Pokemon are actually not from the past or the future, but there seems to be a chance that these creatures shouldn't even exist. It's especially interesting considering that before the professors went down there to start pulling Pokemon from the past and the future, and we got the Koraidon and Miraidon from the story brought into this area, that these Paradox Pokemon were already being seen. So they were already down there. But take a look at these things. The Paradox Pokemon from the past all share an interesting feature, and so do the Paradox Pokemon in the future. So let's look at Great Tusk here first. Now you'll notice it does have some key differences. It still mostly just looks like a Dawn fan. It's a Dawn fan with a few extra details added to it. But look at its mouth and look at its eyes. The mouth looks more vicious, and the eyes with the thin pupils there, almost like a cat, kind of maybe. But it makes it look more vicious. And you'll notice also it has yellow eyes. Keep that in mind. Screamtail also has fangs. Its mouth is not quite as jagged as Great Tusk's, but it does have fangs. And again, extra details with the yellow eyes. Jagged mouth here for, what was your name again? Brute Bonnet. Yellow eyes again. You can see you can make out a fang on Fluttermane's mouth. Also, again, yellow eyes. You can't really see much of a mouth here on Slitherwing, but again, you've got the yellow eyes with added detail to look much more primal, much more prehistoric. Sandy Shocks, again with the yellow eyes. But Sandy Shocks doesn't have a mouth, so you can't really see any fangs, although the middle ones, you could possibly make that out to be some kind of mouth. But again, I wouldn't say that. I have an interesting theory here about this as well, in regards to it being a prehistoric Pokemon, supposedly, but it's a living machine, which seems to imply that this Pokemon was created by humans, so there really shouldn't be a prehistoric version of this thing in existence. I think that Roaring Moon, again with the yellow eyes, again with extra fangs. Yes, it's a dragon Pokemon, but they clearly wanted it to look even more ferocious than a normal Salamence or Mega Salamence would look. And then finally, Koraidon, again, the yellow eyes and the rough-looking mouth with the jagged jaw there to make it look more primal. So all those Pokemon share that feature. Now we move on to the future Paradox Pokemon, and this one is more interesting in my opinion, because I think that the visual likenesses, or I think that the visual traits for these are far more interesting. In this case, Iron Treads, look at the red on what would be its trunk and back. There's a glowing glittery effect. There's a glitter effect on the red part of its trunk that sparkles white. And if you look at its face, its eyes, to match here, they're all basically like, I don't know what the term would be but it's like their face is a computer. So this creature is a robot. Iron Bundle, again, the eyes are electronic, computer generated, looks just like a robot. Look at its tail, what should be its bag / tail. The blue on it, there's the yellow sparkles on its tail. So on Iron Treads, it's the red. On Iron Bundle, it's blue. Funny enough, if you look, Iron Tread's eyes are also red, and Iron Bundle's eyes are blue. So the sparkly part of their bodies is the same color as their eyes. Again here with Iron Hands, the yellow is glowing, and it has yellow eyes. Iron Jugulus, the pink on its body is glowing, both on its heads and on its tail and body, and its eyes are pink. Now notice this. This is supposed to be a Pokemon in the far future, but does it really look any different than a regular Hydreigon other than it's just a robot? Isn't that odd? That supposedly millions, potentially, of years in the future, the only change to this creature is that it's now a robot? I think that's a little strange to think that that's a believable evolutionary step for that Pokemon. The same with this one. If you look here, orange in the eyes, orange on the wings, glowing. And again, this just looks like a robotic Volcarona. Is that really all that the future of Pokemon will be? Is in the future all Pokemon will just become robots? Iron Thorns. Once again, a different color. The green, the dark green on this creature's body is glowing, and it has green eyes. But look, again, it looks just like a Tyranitar, only a robot. So these are very strange creatures, and there's one more to talk about. I don't have Miraidon in my Pokedex, so I can't show you Miraidon, but I can show you Iron Valiant. But again, here we go. The pink on its body glows, and it has pink eyes, and it appears to be much like Roaring Moon looks like a Mega Evolved Salamence. Iron Galliant looks like a fusion of the Mega Evolved Gallade and Mega Evolved Gardevoir. But that's bizarre. These are two separate Pokemon. Why does this one appear to be a combination of two separate Pokemon? And again, why is it just a robot? I don't have Miraidon to show to you, but the purple on its body does the same glowing effect as all of these other future Paradox Pokemon do. And it has purple eyes. So there's some common characteristics between these Pokemon, and I wonder what that's supposed to mean. But anyway, my theory on this is that these Pokemon are not actual real Pokemon. These are Pokemon that have been created by whatever mysterious disc Pokemon is down in the crater that somehow has the ability to make people's thoughts become reality. It basically can warp reality to suit the needs of I guess either itself or other people. This could explain why these prehistoric Pokemon that were brought from the past, supposedly, don't look that much different than the standard versions of them you can find elsewhere. Great Tusk may vary a bit from Donphan, but there's still a very easy to see resemblance between the two, as well as Iron Treads. Anybody could look at those three Pokemon and see that they all resemble each other. But it doesn't take into account what we already know about certain prehistoric Pokemon like Archeops or the other fossil Pokemon that supposedly existed, forever and ever ago, like Aerodactyl, that existed back then but don't exist anymore because they changed. Theoretically, Aerodactyl and some of these other Pokemon are ancestors of modern Pokemon that are everywhere now to be seen. There are even Pokemon from Pokemon Legends Arceus that only exist in that game that appear to be extinct in the modern era of the Pokemon story. So the fact that the Pokemon that are supposedly from the past still resemble their modern counterparts enough to their cries are still very similar, and the fact that the future Paradox Pokemon are mostly just the same Pokemon as robots suggests to me that these aren't actually future Pokemon, and that the reason why they've been called Paradox Pokemon and officially using that label is that they shouldn't exist. I don't think that these creatures exist in the natural world. I don't think that a Tyranitar is going to, in its natural evolution, become Iron Thorns. These are creatures that are man-made. If they are future Pokemon, then they're creatures that were built in the future and weren't born necessarily, because there are and have been man-made Pokemon in the past, even as early as Gen 1 with the virtual reality Pokemon Porygon. So that's entirely possible that some of these creatures did come from that era, but it seems like it's implied more that these are just, again, like, I don't know, I don't like the idea of all the Pokemon in the future just being robots. I don't think that that's I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense. Neither do the idea that these ancient Pokemon still look so much like their modern counterparts. And not when they're coming from an area where we're being teased with imaginary Pokemon that some random sketch artist drew that you know good and well is going to show up in the DLC. Plus, we've got the sketch artist drawing what appears to be an imaginary Pokemon that doesn't exist or shouldn't exist in this world, because he basically fanfictioned the 3 Johto or 3 Unova legendary Pokemon as one big fusion. Now, that's not a Pokemon that exists. It's clearly just a fun sketch that this artist drew. But logic dictates in the real world and outside of this Pokemon world that we will see that legendary Pokemon, that imaginary Pokemon, when the DLC finally comes out. But what is the reason in game? Why will this Pokemon appear? I think whatever legendary Pokemon, the disc Pokemon at the bottom of the cavern, is able to manipulate reality. It can probably see into the minds of people. Maybe it can even take over a person's body. Maybe it can see into the dreams of people who are asleep or unconscious. It can see their thoughts, and it can feed on them and make them into reality. That would be a pretty interesting power. There have been Pokemon in the past that are able to see into the dreams of people and other Pokemon. Dream Eater is a move. So I think that that's what we're dealing with. I think that this mysterious disc Pokemon is going to be a creature that has the power to turn fantasy into reality, to turn dreams into reality, to turn your imagination into reality. And that kind of power is going to get out of hand quickly, and we're going to be facing some pretty powerful monsters whenever this DLC drops. And potentially, I wonder if there's a chance that somebody's imagination going into that area could get out of hand and create a whole army of powerful Paradox creatures that we'll have to fight off and keep from escaping into Paldea to destroy the region. And there are certainly some other interesting characters from in this game that we need to explore more of and figure out what do they know about this area. Like, why does the top champion of this region have a Pokemon that thrives in this area? And it was enough of a plot point that when we first see that creature, it's the first one we encounter in Area 0. Why would the champion have this? Why would the game decide to take a moment to remind us that this is the main Pokemon of this region's champion? Because to me that implies that Gita has been down in Area 0 or knows something about it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited to see what happens in this DLC. Hopefully we'll get some news about it soon, and then we could speculate even more. Anyway, what did you guys think? What do you guys think? I don't know how long this video is going to be because I got to chop it up. Hopefully it's not too long, but let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know what your theories are about what these Paradox Pokemon are. What is this disc Pokemon at the bottom of the crater? And will there be even more surprises down there that we're not even anticipating? Anyway, appreciate you guys watching. Like and subscribe. Go check out all my other stuff. And we'll be back to talk more about Pokemon theories another day. Until then, I'll see you later.